When did you realize that your aunt and uncle truly deserve a special place in hell? I was doing inventory at our Chicago steakhouse. I stepped into the Sub-Zero walk-in to count the Wagyu beef. Suddenly, the heavy steel door slammed shut behind me. The deadbolt clicked. I slammed my fists against the frost-covered glass window, seeing my cousin Ryan standing on the other side. He held the override key. Think you're getting the manager promotion? He sneered through the glass. You're freezing tonight. I choked on the icy air, my breath turning to thick fog. I managed to kick the door, screaming for my aunt and uncle who were closing out the registers. Help, please. Ryan locked the safety latch. The kitchen lights flickered. My uncle and aunt strolled into the prep area. They looked at me, shivering violently, my lips already turning blue. Then they looked at Ryan, who was twirling the silver override key, and then they smirked. My aunt sighed, adjusting her scarf. Oh, stop being so dramatic, Ethan. You probably insulted him. My uncle crossed his arms, a cold, mocking smile on his face. Learn your lesson, boy. Don't make a scene when you thaw out. They walked out the back exit and turned off the main breakers. They left me there. If I hadn't managed to wedge a frozen brisket under the ventilation fan to slow the cooling cycle until the morning prep cook found me, I wouldn't be breathing today. 8 months later, the downtown arbitration room was suffocatingly tense. Ryan sat at the mahogany table wearing a tailored suit, looking like a young executive. My aunt and uncle sat behind him, glaring at me with pure venom. They had hired a ruthless corporate litigator. They were trying to force me out of my 30% equity in the restaurant, claiming I had suffered a psychotic break and locked myself in the freezer, making me unfit for business. When I sat for the deposition, their attorney tore into me. Isn't it true, Ethan, that you have a documented history of jealousy toward Ryan's success? He sneered. He tried to freeze me to death, I said, my voice trembling but steady. Your family states otherwise. They say you were hallucinating and panicked, the lawyer countered. I looked at my uncle. He gave me a smug, slight nod. He thought they had won. They thought their expensive lawyers and fabricated police statements had bought them my inheritance. But they didn't know what I had installed in the kitchen 2 days before the incident. My attorney stood up. Mr. Arbitrator, we would like to introduce digital evidence previously withheld for forensic verification. The boardroom went completely silent. My lawyer connected a flash drive to the smart TV. The screen flared to life, showing crisp night vision footage. It was from the new hidden security camera I had placed directly above the walk-in. The speakers boomed with the sound of the heavy steel door slamming, the click of the deadbolt, and my frantic pounding on the glass. The camera clearly showed Ryan locking the door. Then came the chilling audio of my aunt's voice. Oh, stop being so dramatic, Ethan. You probably insulted him. Then my uncle's voice, clear as day. Learn your lesson, boy. Don't make a scene when you thaw out. The entire boardroom gasped. The color completely drained from my aunt's face. My uncle slumped in his leather chair, shaking. Ryan started sweating profusely, looking frantically at his litigator. The corporate lawyer slowly closed his briefcase, completely speechless. The arbitrator looked across the table. The absolute fury in his expression was terrifying. He didn't even hesitate. Ryan Sterling, I am voiding this equity claim immediately. Just so you are aware, there are 2 Chicago police detectives waiting in the lobby. You are facing charges of attempted manslaughter. Ryan burst into tears, slamming his hands against the table. But the arbitrator wasn't done. He turned his icy glare directly toward the gallery, pointing at my aunt and uncle. Officers, he called out, his voice booming through the door. Arrest those 2 immediately under the state's accessory to attempted manslaughter and felony insurance fraud statutes. I am forwarding this transcript to the prosecutor. You smirked while your nephew froze. Now see how cold it gets in a holding cell. The heavy handcuffs clicked loudly around their wrists. My aunt shrieked, begging for forgiveness, while my uncle stared at me in absolute soul-crushing horror as they were dragged out of the suite. Full story on the channel, link below.